What are the biggest problems with HubSpot? Now, this might sound weird coming from a HubSpot agency, but who better to know the problems than us? Linda, thank you for joining me for episode 179. How are you today?
Good, Moves. How you going?
Good, very good.
Bit of a risky topic.
Yeah, it is risky because we do get a lot of referrals and leads from our friends at HubSpot. But having said that, like we talk a lot about, they ask you answer. If you're familiar with they ask you answer, of course, it's about if your buyer, prospects have questions, you should answer them. And there's a whole framework that goes along with it. But one of the components of they ask you answer is the big five. So these are 5 type of topics where when not only your customers, but you guys, me, Linda, like all of us, when we're in buying mode, we search for. And those are the best of something, something versus something. So HubSpot versus Salesforce, reviews, cost, and of course, problems, right? So we only tend to look for problems when we're in buying mode. And it's often one of the areas that people kind of steer clear from, but we sort of say be authentic with it, own it, because it might be a problem for some, might not be a problem for others. And some of the problems we talk about, there might be some workarounds too.
Yeah, I think it's good that we're talking about this. We've got a lot of content on our website already about the problems with HubSpot. So if you guys are interested in a more depth explanation, then we've got an article on here. So you can definitely go to our website, our learning center, and check that out. But yeah, it's a good one to talk about, Mobes, because like you say, when people are in buying mode, they want to know what they're in for before they hand over the credit card and make the decision.
Yeah.
So the conversations that we have with people probably every week, we're going to share that stuff with you guys today.
100%. So some of these might be a bit more controversial than others, but it's honest and it's true. But let's sort of start with the first one. HubSpot won't solve your lead generation problem. Now, the reason why I threw this one here, Linda, is because in the sales process, like I still do most of our sales, and often I find like that's why they're speaking to me. They think that HubSpot will solve their lead generation problem. Now, some of it is just a misconception from their side. Sometimes it's something they've, seen, like for example.
How does that misconception happen? Because I'm not privy to that, Mobes, and I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Is that something that is pitched to them from HubSpot? Is that like, how does that come about?
I don't know if it's like, this is the thing, like, I don't know if it's like, and I can't speak for all the reps. Like I've got such great relationships with reps. A lot of them are our friends. We love them. So I don't know if that's happening or not, but all I know is I'll go to those conversations and I realize like, that's why, because one of the things we talk about, like, and this is like a sidebar note, whenever someone is looking to buy something from you or they call you or you're having a discovery call, like one of the biggest questions you could overlook is like, why are we talking about this? Like, what's their compelling reason to buy? Like what's driving this conversation today? Or what sparked this? Like someone was talking to me about, oh, look, we need to get HubSpot sorted. I've got to fix this and this and this and this. And like, it was very, very tactical. And I said, okay, great. Like, can I ask, like, what sparked this? Like, why are we having this conversation today? And then that person went into like, I've got these goals and these revenue goals. And I was able to have a much more robust conversation around a revenue conversation and not just the initial tactical stuff he asked me. So yeah, so I digress. But I guess like, I'll speak to them and I realize that, they think it will solve their, and it might not even be a HubSpot thing. It might just be like something that the market talks about. But I will say like, HubSpot's in a difficult position in a way. I'll say one of the things that might do this is they've got an ROI calculator, right? Now that ROI calculator, I haven't used it recently, but what it does is like you put in, okay, what the investment of HubSpot will be, the industry. So, like medical might be 25%, education might be 30%. And then it's like, okay, this is your ROI. But it's like, guys, HubSpot, you've got to be careful with that. You're like implying that you buy HubSpot and then based on this industry, you're going to get this boost.
And that's like with the T's and C's, that would be if they had like a driver in the seat actually using the tool in the right way. Is that right?
Yeah,
is
but
that
that's a huge T and C. Like,
yeah.
That's a huge disclaimer.
Yeah.
Like you and I had this conversation. How many like entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that, like sell courses or services or consultants, they're not using HubSpot. right?
Yeah.
Like they're using ConvertKit or something basic, but their copywriting is so good. Mm-hmm. Their creative is so good. Their messaging is so good. So it's a huge misconception that, hey, if you buy HubSpot, you're going to get leads.
Yeah.
Like the analogy I can give you, I know back in the day, you were in cars or your dad wanted you to be in cars, but you could have like a rusty Honda Civic, but it's got a beautiful engine inside of it. It's going to smoke like a stock standard Merc, or a driver who doesn't know how to drive the car. That's probably better. It's like Vin Diesel says, it's not about the car, it's how you drive it. That's probably better.
It's like a car with no driver.
Yeah. I should have started with the Vin Diesel one. Yeah, a car with no driver versus Vin Diesel driving a bomb. You know what I mean? So that's the key thing here. So I think like, and not necessarily like all...
So it's the tool. It can do amazing things for you, but you need the person steering.
Yeah.
You need the driver. You need someone being able to know how to use the tool.
Yes, and that's probably my point. Like, if you're going to get this, great, it's the tool, right? But you should either look at hiring someone else, maybe like a consultant, we'll do it like we'll do for sales hubs and sales. And I think, sales and marketing are our favorite hubs, and also the CMS and content hub as well. We're really good at that. So maybe a partner who can actually help you with the strategy side, or it doesn't have to be a partner. Maybe you do a course. Like one of the things I was thinking about, HubSpot's next, if they're really keen on this and they're really focused on ROI, their next acquisition should be a training company.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, we used to subscribe to Digital Marketer back in the day. But one of those businesses that actually has a training arm, and maybe it's got courses on how you actually do copywriting and how you do email marketing and conversion points and CRO and like the lift model. Yeah. Because then now they've got
the strategic stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think HubSpot's really great in that it has a really big resource library. Like there are so many videos for the person that is purchasing it and that they don't have that partner. They can go in there and learn how to use the tools really easy. Like I think that's a great thing about it. All the interfaces, no matter what hub you're in, they all look and feel the same.
Yeah.
So they have an amazing library, but you're right. Like it's a strategic component that still needs to happen for them to be able to claim like an ROI on the tool.
Exactly. Otherwise there's huge assumptions, like that they're making. Okay.
All right. Number 2. So the sales reps, communicating with the sales reps most.
Yeah, so I told you, like, that was the first one's probably like a very tame one, right? You're like, oh, that's not very controversial. HubSpot, some of their reps are really pushy, man. Like, they're really, really pushy. I'm not going to give names. I'm not going to give client examples, but I'll give you scenarios. Like, I had one scenario where the client said to me, Moby, you tell that guy to stop calling me, otherwise I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to buy this thing, but you got to tell him to stop calling me, otherwise I'm going to lose my shit. I can see Fung in the corner of my eyes, like nodding his head, like he might have experienced some pushy salespeople too.
Yeah.
Now it's like any company, right? Like any company will have that. But I do think, HubSpot pushes this whole inbound thing, which I got a big bugbear with. Like they've got to be careful. Like they can't turn into Salesforce. You know what I mean? Like that really, really sort of pushy style. Now this is sort of a sub point of this. I remember I went to Inbound. It was less than 5 years ago. And Brian Halligan on stage, like 10,000 people were there. And he was like, you know what? I think we can safely say cold calling is dead. And everyone in the audience went, hooray. You're like, yeah, cold calling is dead. HubSpot cold calls. HubSpot cold calls, right? Like they cold call, they buy cold data, they buy data to Zoom info, they do all of that stuff. So what? Fine. So they should. We've done that in the past, but we haven't gone out there and been like cold calling is dead. I've never said that. And like now I'm noticing, right? People, and not only just HubSpotters, but like people online on LinkedIn saying like cold calling is back. Cold calling is back. Mofo, it never went anywhere. Like what happened was like people were spoiled after COVID. The market was flush with capital, flush with money. It was so easy. Like we grew so much in COVID. You know what I mean? It was so easy to sell during then. A new crop, a generation of sales reps came into the market and they're like, oh, sales is easy. What are these old timers talking about? This is simple. I don't have to do any work.
Yeah.
And Gen Zs, and I love Gen Zs. We've got some amazing Gen Zs. Like they challenge me and I love it. But Gen Zs, a lot of them don't like picking up the phone. They don't like talking to people. I just text and WhatsApp and Insta and that rubbish. So they're already not inclined to pick up the phone as much as the older generations. And even millennials too. Like we're not big phone callers as well. Like the older you are, the more they tend to call.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, it never went anywhere. But are you guys just saying that now because now HubSpot's cold calling? And I feel like this thing, the last thing I'll say on this, like I feel like every time they want to add a feature, they will change the definition of inbound marketing. So
In what way?
so to give you an example, they champion the book Inbound Marketing, great concept, right? It's still, they didn't invent it, but they put a nice label on it. And then all of a sudden they want to release a paid media tool, right? So they're like, okay, cool, we need to release this paid media tool in HubSpot. This was a few years ago. But we've always said that paid is not inbound. We've always said advertising is outbound. Then they started saying, oh, you do paid in an inboundy way. Like, come on, man. Like, so you know what I mean? So this has been coming for a long time. Like, this is not me just losing my shit and being sensitive. Like, they've been doing this for a really long time. And now they're cold calling. And
it makes sense because in my head, I was thinking like, everything does come back around unless it's a brand new technology and it's superseded in some way. But I feel like with marketing, things do come back around. Like even with SEO, people saying SEO is dead and, the hype being AI. And then people, I think, are starting to realize that no, SEO isn't dead. It's all just the same thing. And I feel like it does come back around a bit. But what you're saying, Mobes, does make sense.
I think they've got, because they're such a big brand and this is the thing, not every brand has that responsibility.
Yeah,
right? There's brands we don't care about. Like, I don't know, I probably can't think of them because they're not important enough, right? But most brands, especially brands like HubSpot, who have a following, they have a strong partner ecosystem. And we love HubSpot. The partners hang out. We're friends. Like, you know what I mean? We have friends at HubSpot. It is, we love the culture code that they came up with. It's a good software. Like, it's like they've got a responsibility because they're such an evangelist type of brand.
Yeah.
So on one side, you talk about this stuff. I believe they've got a responsibility to be like, hey, you know what? Inbound marketing it's dead. It's dead. Like, or we're not going to call it inbound anymore because it doesn't represent marketing anymore.
It's not reflective of the current market.
Yeah, full stack marketing or, omni-channel marketing, whatever. Like, do whatever you want. I don't care. But like, because you guys push that, and if anyone, and I know sometimes people from HubSpot do watch this, guys, you do have a responsibility. And I'll say that because I know there are some agencies that listen to your every word, right? Like, we're marketers, we're sales strategists. So we treat it as a tool. And we augment on top of that. And like we push all the good and we ignore the bad, even if HubSpot says it, right? But there's some agencies out there, I know they built their agencies on HubSpot. There's some agencies when HubSpot said outbound is dead and paid is nothing and whatever. There's people who work at Redpandas who worked at these agencies. And those agencies are like, they no longer exist or they've gone backwards.
Yeah.
They're shells of what they were because they waved that inbound flag, HubSpot. And they didn't base their business on things that you said aren't good.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't cold call. They didn't do paid ads for their clients. And now look where they are.
They didn't diversify. And
now that's a small minority, of course.
Yeah.
But the point is, guys, you do have we respect you, right? We love you. So you have that responsibility to say, guys, we've changed now. Or we made a mistake. Like one of the big things at Red Pandas, people are always putting up their hand like made a mistake. I do that once a day, right? Made a mistake. I stuffed up. Just be honest, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, as far as what clients will care about, the pushy sales reps, that's annoying. The next one is something that annoys everybody, and that is taking away stuff you're already paying for and then charging you for it. So
we just had a client dealing with this.
Yeah, you tell me.
Yeah. No, literally that. Yeah, like we hear it like often, at least monthly, where clients have a tool like HubSpot, they're using it, and then unfortunately a change happens and they learn that a feature that they really loved now is kind of getting moved and changed with different hubs developing. Yeah.
The big one was for me years ago when they stopped. So if you got the Marketing Hub and Sales Hub, the hack was you could buy Marketing Pro and then like a cheap version of sales or the free version, and then use marketing's workflows to do sales stuff. So like move sales deals around and stuff. But then they said, oh, you can't do that anymore. Now, to their credit, they did say if you already bought it, we're going to grandfather that in. But anyone new, you can't do that anymore. But they were none the wiser, right? And then they recently did something where they pulled off landing pages from Marketing Hub, which I don't believe is right.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's right because that's what we waved the flag on. We're like, hey, it's an all-in-one. It does all your stuff. Landing pages are really important. That's not, in my opinion, that's not right. You guys just removed a feature. Yeah. Right? And you put it into a new hub. I will say credit where it's due. One thing I do, so they put it into Content Hub. And one thing that I do like about Content Hub, because I'm hearing this a lot from customers, is Content Hub has a free CMS in it. So they moved out blogging. Who gives a shit? No one really liked the blogging tool anyway, unless your website was on HubSpot.
Yeah.
Everyone uses their own blog. Don't care about that.
Yeah.
They moved that, but they moved landing pages, which was disappointing for me. But to their credit, they put in the CMS Hub.
Connected with landing pages in Content Hub.
Yeah. So if you've got Content Hub, I'm hearing clients say like, oh, you know what, we've already got a free CMS. Let's move off WordPress. WordPress sucks. It's hackable.
It's doing what it needs to then, right? Because maybe more websites are starting to get developed on HubSpot now.
Yeah, fair. But it's still annoying, right? So they do that. A lot of SaaS companies do that, but HubSpot does it too, and it's really annoying. What's the next one?
Okay. Next one is it's expensive. Maybe for small businesses or entrepreneurs, if you will, people starting out.
Yeah, it is expensive. I think this one I can kind of let them off the hook for because it's a problem, like you said, for small entrepreneurs.
You wouldn't go to HubSpot if you're just kind of starting out.
If I was starting out today, brand new by myself, didn't have much funds, I'd go high level, I'd get something cheaper, ConvertKit, I'd get some other stuff and do that.
I think though, on the flip side though, once you are scaling, I do feel like HubSpot is a really great CRM for that because like I said earlier, like every hub, no matter what you're using, it all feels and looks the same and interacts really, really well. Doesn't feel like anything's bolted on. You don't have that sort of experience like you would with the Salesforce.
Yeah.
So as you're scaling, I think it's great and you can justify it because it's you don't have to hire someone internally just to be able to use the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And we did a test on this, and anyone can do this test. Like obviously we're in Australia, so seek.com.au is a employment search website. So if you type in Salesforce administrator, you get like thousands of results, like thousands of people advertising for those roles. But if you do HubSpot, you don't get that many.
Yeah.
Like at all. You don't get that many because I think bigger organizations, they can have that if they want, but it should be more embedded, like with the marketing team or the sales team.
It is a bit of a cheat code in a way. Like if you are getting HubSpot, then like do it right at the beginning, empower your marketing manager or whoever with a really good onboarding and make sure that they know how to use a tool with a partner like you were saying, who's able to help them be strategic and get the most out of it. Because once they know how to use it, they can run with that as opposed to hiring someone full-time internally.
Yeah, exactly.
Ongoing.
I remember the first HubSpot project I did, and this is where Tasha used to work actually. It was so efficient that they didn't need to, they removed one person's admin time. So like it saved the time of one whole person and that person didn't just get fired. That person then just did other stuff.
Yeah.
But they didn't need them to do that, admin stuff anymore. I think where HubSpot has to look out for is HubSpot, it needs to be really, really careful because I believe it's still a high value product for medium-sized and, small businesses with decent revenue and up, right? But it's starting to feel like they just charge you for everything. They didn't used to charge you for users. Users were unlimited in Marketing Hub. And I know this to be true because I've worked with big businesses. We were part of an American business. Like we know how big businesses think. Someone in a boardroom's like, how can I get more money out of this? Like I'll start charging for seats because that's what the industry does and that's what people are used to. And Salesforce does it. So people won't mind if we do. Mm-hmm. That's not the point. Like stop being like everyone else, right? Yeah. So you charge for that now. We'll get to marketing contacts in a second. You charge for that. You have Sales Pro, but you have limited amount of minutes there. Mm-hmm. So I would say like charge people what they're charging. Right? We're big believers of that. Red Pandas, we're not the cheapest either. We try to operate in a high value center of the market, but we try to put a lot of value there. Mm-hmm. So give them more minutes, give them more contacts, something, and don't reduce your pricing. But HubSpot, be careful because you are starting to feel expensive even for bigger clients. Yeah. Which leads us to marketing contacts. You want to quickly explain that and our problem with it?
Yeah. So I think the thing here that hurts is, in HubSpot, if you have a contact who has unsubscribed so that you can no longer email market them, or they've hard bounced a certain amount of times and you can't reach out to them anymore, you can't do any more email marketing, they still charge you for them being a marketing contact.
Right? Didn't that shock you too?
Yeah.
So,
which is so true. And I knew that. I just had to let it sink in because the concept of it is quite wild, isn't it? You can't market them, but you're paying for them as a marketing contact.
Because it's an easy
if
fix.
You don't know how to turn them into a non-marketing contact.
100%.
And again, that's having the driver in the seat and not just having the tool. because the driver needs to know to be able to do those things and have that automation in place. So that way you can save money.
Yeah.
So it's
HubSpot's got some great tools. It's got all these amazing AI tools. It's really, really good. And it hurts because it is an easy fix. Like it's really easy for them. You know, to Linda's point, so for those of you who don't maybe know HubSpot too well, you pay for marketing contacts. You don't pay for non-marketing contacts. A marketing contact is someone you're going to send mass emails, mass comms to. But you could have 1 million contacts there and not pay for them. Maybe they're contacts where the sales reps just cold call them, which is okay. Like there's nothing wrong with that if you do it in a proper way, right? HubSpot, and you know this, you know people do that. So you've got marketing, non-marketing. But if someone unsubscribes, HubSpot, wouldn't you just like automatically mark them as non-marketing? Like why wouldn't you? Like there's not a good reason for us that why you do that.
Yeah.
Or someone hard bounces, just save your customers some money. And then, but this is the thing, they do that. There is a balance sheet somewhere and someone's sitting in an office somewhere. If we do that, that's going to cost us X amount of million.
Yeah.
And this is the whole corporate versus customer type of thing. And I will say, I have a disclaimer. It's very easy for you and I to sit here in a sub $10 million business and kind of cast aspersions, and we don't have those pressures. But we're just sort of sharing from the customer's point of view what it feels like.
Yeah.
You know, so things like that. You guys should not be doing that. So the workaround around that is, there is a workaround. You can, like Linda said, you can create a workflow. So if someone unsubscribes, hard bounces, mark them as a non-marketing contact. And also HubSpot, make it easier for people to clean and hygiene their content. So, and to be honest, this takes business off of us. But one of the areas of value we give to clients is we help them with their strategy. We help them with a roadmap, work through key things in HubSpot, but we also help them clean up their contacts.
Yeah.
So every 6 months, you know, someone who, you know, hasn't done something, put them on the list, and then dear customer, consider marking them as non-marketing contacts. Like, and Tasha and the team, they've got some amazing workflows I can't even think about, but we have a bit of a process that you do this once a month, you do this once every 3 months, once every 6 months, once every 12 months, a series of things you should do to make sure your marketing contacts are kept low or cycled or cleaned so you can get the most out of it. HubSpot, you guys know this already, just help customers out with that, you know? But yeah, having said that, I think anything else comes to mind?
No, I think we've roasted HubSpot enough.
Yeah.
We love HubSpot.
I will say, you know, kind of coming back full circle, like when I started Red Pandas, like, you know, about almost 10 years ago now, I had to decide like which, you know, horse do I hitch the wagon to? At the time there was Infusionsoft and it seemed like, it's called Keep now. Salesforce was just a mind F, like it was just really complicated. And like, I didn't want to do projects for clients where then they have to keep coming back to us and we have to keep doing stuff for them. And HubSpot seemed like, and it still is, the easiest one to use. It's crafted, not cobbled. I got that from a sales rep. Like Salesforce is cobbled. They bought softwares together.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
HubSpot was brought from the ground up. And if you're a little bit savvy and you know how to take advantage of HubSpot and how to kind of keep the pricing low and how to negotiate, and because you can negotiate with HubSpot and have smart things like workflows, you're going to get a lot out of it. But there are problems with HubSpot.
All right, there it is.
Thank you, and we'll see you again for another episode of Inbound Buzz.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.